Yes, this is John from All Points TV, and today I'm sitting in the studio with Santino Guerra, and he's running for the Third Ward City Council seat now in the city of Flint in the upcoming election, August 8th, correct?
Correct.
Anyway, the incumbent is Carrie Nelson, correct?
Correct.
So anyway, it's very nice of you to come in here. I give you a request the other day, and you consented, and you were willing to come in here. And we've been trying to work out some technical difficulties here. So he's been very patient. So anyway, that's a good mark right there, guys. So anyway,
thank you for having me.
Yes. I'm kind of impressed. You're a young man. I mean, very young. You graduated from the Kersey High School. What year was it?
It was 2016.
So, I mean, that's really good, though. I mean, you're getting into politics early. You don't have a lot of background to try to cover and conceal. And the more you stick yourself out there and the more you put yourself out there in the public eye, you're going to, have a better chance of actually getting people's trust. As long as you have no scandal attached to you, you're going to do well if you stay straight and narrow.
Right.
Anyway, so we're going to get into this. You're a lifelong resident of the city of Flint, right?
Oh, yeah. I grew up in the city of Flint. I was born over on the east side of Flint. My family was from that side of town. And then we moved to the Rollingwood area, which is the northeast side of Flint. And then when I was about 14, we moved out to Thetford Township. And then I came back to Flint when I started going to University of Michigan, Flint. So
yeah, now the University of Michigan, and what are you studying over there?
I'm a pre-law student that's double majoring in criminal justice and sociology.
So anyway, you obviously know that euphemistically we'll say that Flint has a lot of challenges. Okay, I mean, basically, a lot of people are going to interject their own adjectives on that. But what do you think are you kind of overwhelmed by this? Or obviously you're not, you're running. But
right.
Do you feel like invigorated, or you feel like there's like some trepidation, or what? How do you feel about this?
I feel like that the city of Flint has, of course, the challenges that we've all seen in the past, but I think that the city of Flint is also thriving towards a new successful future. I mean, if we look at the downtown area, the more campuses that are coming in, we're growing. U of M Flint, for example, is buying up other buildings and expanding, and I think if we start using that method outside of the downtown area and start expanding all over the Flint area, that we're going to start getting bigger and better, and we're going to rise up again, because we're a fighter city. Yeah, it's like it gets very hard to, I cover a lot of stories here, at the studio, and it's like you get a lot of hopeful people, and they come in and they do stuff. A lot of people, in the past, and I don't want to bring them up, but we've had a lot of people in Flint that basically they had a great deal of zeal for it, but they didn't seem to carry it out. So we're hoping that everybody in city council is facing challengers. That's what I understand, right? Yes, everybody. A couple of them go on to the general election, but about a little more than half of them are facing primaries.
That's good. Now this is going to be this is the primary in August, right?
Yep, primary is in August.
And of course the regular election is going to be in November, right?
Yep.
So everybody gets that in August is the primaries, and the actual final telling date is November. Now, how many besides the incumbent? How many people are you facing?
Including myself, there's 4 of us running for city council. Yep.
Okay, and let's see, you're in pre-law, and which is pretty much like I would say the average person going to politics usually gravitates to it because they are lawmakers.
Yeah.
So, what would you say? This is I should probably have asked you to prepare yourself, so I'm going to throw you a real quick one here. But so if you can't read, if it's no right or wrong answer to it, but because it's your perception. But what do you think is probably the overarching concern for, say, the Third Ward? I mean, you lived around it, you see it's badly decayed in the past 10 years.
And I think some of the main problems we have in the Third Ward is the issues with blight. I mean, if you drive through the Third Ward all over, you see abandoned homes and you see litter, other things like that are filling the streets, and it's not a pretty sight. And especially over there, like for example, in the Rollingwood area, we have an abandoned trailer park that's technically lakefront property, but it's just abandoned, and the windstorms make the stuff fly all over. So I think one of the biggest issues, not only in that area, but over in the north end and over on the east side, is the blight situation. And I think that impacts not everybody's property values, but impacts the people that live in it and have to see it every single day.
Now, obviously being a lifelong resident of Flint too, you probably have a lot of family and friends that live here. A lot of them probably moved out. Let's be honest, a lot of people just said, they're not willing to, to wait any longer to see the city turn around, so they left. What would you say to them if you could try to encourage them to come back? What would you say that you could say to them as in a sense of encouragement?
Well, I would say that the city's coming back. It's up and coming. I mean, there's lots of. I know right now we have like a high unemployment rate, but we have companies that are coming in, starting companies all over the city of Flint. They're trying to come in and try thriving people. So if people who have experience in businesses can come back to Flint and open up businesses and make it more available to the people, and just coming back in the area and just seeing the life that's coming downtown, being able to be interactive with college, furthering education for different people, and just really getting involved in the community. It's a city that it's up and coming back again like it used to be.
Now, see, I don't know if you're aware of this, but I mean, I just heard somebody told me that they're actually tearing down the former McDonald dairy, or was a Country Fresh dairy or whatever it was down there on Chavez, and that's going to be some kind of some kind of, I guess it's some kind of company that's taking down the shipping containers or building shipping containers or something like that. I don't know the full details. Have you heard anything about that? Or?
Was it the shipping containers in the houses?
That might be it.
I think I seen something a while back on that one.
So that's encouraging. That's some kind of stuff like that. This is not confirmed, though. I mean, somebody told me this. I did see something in the paper, but I didn't get a chance to read it because I really don't subscribe. I usually get my news through, MLive online. I think that's most people go because it's more immediate,
here.
and don't have to have the papers stacked up and around the house.
It all comes to your phone right away.
Yeah. So anyway, the third ward is like I said, it's kind of an oddly shaped one. It's used to a lot of the third ward now. It used to be formerly used to be in the fourth ward.
Yeah, including the area where I'm at right now. It used to be fourth ward a while back, and it's just the redistricting keeps cutting lots apart. So yeah, we're all over the place now. We're I think it's one of the largest geographic areas.
It's like see, a lot of people feel like they're doing that for they feel like they're being jettisoned, distanced or pushed away. They think that's what the move was, to do that, to be able to not conclude us, from the third ward. Because I'm also in the third ward. The studio here is in the third ward. So and that's like, and there's a lot of anger here. I mean, a lot of people have resentment, and the city has had a whole rash of, well, I can't say rash. It's a history of not scandal so much. It's just corruption or ineptitude. As a council person, you're going to have some functions possibly, but I mean, what would you say that you'd want to try to encourage?
Well, I think right now, especially we were talking about like the redistricting and stuff like that, I've knocked on tons of doors in the city of Flint. There's a lot of people who used to be part of different wards, and they feel concerned about that. They feel like they're not being represented because they moved over to different wards. They don't know specifically who their council person is. So I think that going on further, just trying to keep the districts that we have now and trying to get everybody involved on the same boat, so to say. So kind of connecting all the communities in the ward together and working side by side with one another is how we can go about that in the future.
And now, when you were in high school, I mean, did you take classes with the eye towards maybe going into politics, or is this something like you decided on because you just saw a situation developing and you want to see if you can address that?
Well, I got into politics. I think it was the end of my 8th grade year was the first thing. I went to Congressman Dale Kelly's retirement dinner. And I heard him speak about the issues that was going on in the city of Flint and the things in the congressional district as well. And he spoke a lot of things like that. And I just listened to him, and I was kind of inspired by what he had to say. And I thought that if this one man could run for office and try his best to make a difference for what he believed in, I would be able to go on that kind of style as well.
So, and also, like I said, I'm just looking at the sheet here, see if I could pull up anything here and maybe raise this as a talking point. You say you're of course the city council seats are supposedly non-partisan, but as I know, as my observation, and maybe it's cynical, I pretty much know they're Democrats. Okay, they've always been connected to the Democratic Party. You said something in your literature here that's the quote. I'm directing you a direct quote. This means you don't have to associate with a faction, a political environment. You don't have to be a Democrat, a liberal, a Republican, or a conservative. You just have to care about your city. I think that's a good statement because I think partisan politics is pretty inane in the local level. I mean, other than if you can get to a seat where you're actually going to be addressing, the federal government for funding or something like that. I don't see how a D or R or an I after your name should be a discouragement or an encouragement. I think it should be more issue. I had a friend that ran for public office, and just local public office, and some woman called him out of the blue and asked about his position on abortion. And it's like he tried to be very polite about it. Says, well, I really, as my role here, he was running for a supervisor slot.
Okay.
And he said, I really don't have much to say about that. I mean, that's a federal thing, and I think that's personal beliefs and stuff. He tried to hedge around it because I think it was kind of a silly question to ask a local politician.
Yeah, I can agree with you on those standpoints. I think everybody has their own issues, certain things like that, but especially at these local levels, when you vote on things that they don't align with certain parties, you're voting on issues that matter to the residents of Flint, regardless of their political parties. And I think it's really important to focus on that each resident has a voice, and it's time for them to be heard, regardless of who they vote for. If they vote for a Democrat, or Republican, or an Independent, they're a resident of Flint, so that's what's important.
That's what should be. Like I said, I just don't understand. I mean, we can all have our allegiance on the federal level, but I just don't see where this would be an issue. I mean, let's face it. I don't care if it's a D or an R after your name. The realities of dealing as a city official in the city of Flint is lack of funding for everything. I mean, let's face it. That's the underlying cause of all the problems, as well as all the potential solutions, is trying to gain that funding. Do you think you have do you have some ideas of who you'd want to approach, or would you want to ask for funding for it, or would you want to wait till reveal that later?
I think it all depends too. Once you actually, if I were to get elected, sitting down with the council and depending on where funds are going to be allocated, we're working with them. But one of the things that I can say that I'll be able to try to do if elected is actually get the community involved, doing a lot of volunteer work. Going district by district and precinct by precinct, and actually getting community groups involved that are going to go and clean up their areas and stuff like that. So that wouldn't cost the city much money. It'd just be involving the people in their communities. And if you meet the residents of Flint, when you go door to door, these people want to clean up their communities. They just don't have organized groups to do it. And it's really smart, is to get these started and really get involved with the people in your district, not necessarily the people in the political realm that are going to be fixing the problems, but the people who live there.
See, one thing I see, there's certain quadrants or certain areas of Flint, like the east, or the cultural center, that the people, they seem to be able to get more political connections because they already have them. They actually have the more acumen to it comes to like dealing with nonprofits, because a lot of them do that in their, as their professional lives. And I think that's the third ward. We had one man. Well, it was the fourth ward back then. It was Frank Yanacci. He was this was several years ago. He was a lawyer, man, but he was also our councilman, and I think he was the one that made more. I think he really did try to do a lot because he knew the law. He knew how to work with the law. He knew how to get. And another person I think is a good. I don't know if you ever met Terry Banker.
I'm not.
Yeah, he's an interesting person. Used to be the former ombudsman of the city of Flint. He's a practice attorney here for family law yet. He's also very well involved in the political scene. He heads up the Genesee County Democratic Party, but he's also very, as much as the political differences he and I have personally, I can say the man is like a storehouse of knowledge and wisdom about how to handle things on this level. So, I mean, I don't know if you ever get a chance to meet him. He's an interesting person to talk to. But he's he's always been an activist. He's always worked on try to help all the city of Flint. Even though he's got his own political views, he works willingly with other people. And I think there's very few of those people in the city council like that, with that personality, this willingness,
Right.
So I would definitely see that I think that's, another thing is I'm kind of ashamed to say this, but a lot of the city council members' actions are pretty questionable.
Yeah, I've heard some stories, but I don't want to get into those specifically. I don't know the exact details.
Well, see, the thing is, it's like you're addressing a group out there of people who's they have that in mind. I mean, they see what's well, my God. I mean, these people out there, I mean, they're really out there.
Right.
But I think that's the reason why they have challenges right now. Some of them people take issue with some of their behavior, and so that's the reason why they looks like they have to contend with somebody who might step in and take that role over.
Right.
So.
Yeah, it's looking like that, especially with all the districts coming up. There's a huge number of petitions that were even pulled out for people to run for office. One of the greatest it's ever had, because a lot of people want change in the city of Flint right now. Yeah,
so now I think it's pretty cool that you're a young man. I mean, you're really young. I mean, but I think that's a good thing. I mean, I think that you want to, you have fresh eyes. You also have hopefulness, and that's what's lacking here. I mean, I myself,
right.
I'm very cynical and skeptical about pretty much everybody I meet anymore that was running for office. Because it's if they've already had a past, they probably have a lot of skeletons in that past.
Yeah.
And see, right now, we're kind of getting with you, they're actually be able to pick the fruit right off the tree. As a city council person, we got to be, because we got to be more inclusive. So we can't say councilmen, but
right.
But anyway, I was gonna say you got I got some contact information out here for you too. Up on the screen here as well. if somebody wanted to contact you, would you recommend they get through Facebook or?
The best way to go to email. My email should be up on there. It goes right to my phone like a text message, so I get it and I can respond right away. I've already had a couple people who messaged me off my email, and I responded to them really quickly. But my Facebook page is also a really good way. It goes also right to my phone right on Facebook Messenger, so I usually respond to those. I think I got a 100% response rate right now on my Facebook page.
Well, that's really good. That's really encouraging too. Another thing is too, for those who are listening and they don't know, they're not sure of which ward they're in. I mean, they can go to a website that would tell them which they type in their address and they could tell them what, ward they're in. Correct?
Yeah. There's all that technology out there nowadays.
Okay, now I'm going to ask you. This is a trick question. Do you know the boundaries of the third ward currently?
Yeah, I know. We go up to Carpenter Road, and then we go down over on Saginaw, and then we cut over to MLK, and we go down to right on Richfield. So we're a big part of the area. We also go down to Mabel on the east side, so I do know the boundaries, and we're pretty cut up. There's times I'll be walking on the street, knocking on doors, and the other side of the street will be in the different ward.
Yeah.
So we're a little bit all over the place, but I do know the boundaries for it.
Because when I was a kid growing up, right up to just a few years ago, this was all solidly fourth ward.
Yeah.
And from Robert T. Longway all the way up to the curve there on Dort and stuff like that was all fourth ward. I mean, it was like basically, but they changed it. And I did feel I felt kind of angry about that, the redistricting of it, because I think I agree with a lot of the people's sentiments. I think it was kind of the attempt to marginalize.
Right.
We all know that there's we've got some people out there really intelligent, and they read politics as their forte, their passion. Would you describe yourself as that?
Yeah, I would say I'm very passionate about politics. I mean, I started working in campaigns back when I was 14 years old. I represented Ferris's campaign. I did that. I helped out on Phil Phelps' campaign for state rep. So I've been involved in politics for quite some time. And even back in 2014, I was appointed under the Obama administration as a United States Senate page in Washington, D.C. So not only have I done stuff at a state level and a local level, but I've even been nationally too. So I would say, yeah, I'm very involved in politics. I'm very passionate about it.
No, that page experience, I mean, that was probably eye-opening. I mean, you saw people that the stress levels were high. You saw them in more less intense situations, and especially that there's a lot going on when you were there.
Yeah.
I mean, so it's significant. You had that role because I mean, it's like you got to see it on the top level. Now, what do you think that experience would able to actually give you some kind of insights at the local level?
Yeah, I think it will, because it shows how, the legislative process goes. It shows how you have to be patient with other individuals while working with, all your party members, working with both parties on both sides of the aisle. And it showed how people have to, they run the legislation and kind of seen things firsthand. I know I wasn't making the decisions like the politicians there were, but I got to see them make those decisions. So I think definitely it will help prepare me for this type of political experience at the local level.
Now, like, before we get wrapping this up, what would you like to say to the your potential constituents out there in the third ward? What would you say that you would say? I, Santino, Guerra, we're going to do this for you, or attempt to do this for you. What would you like to tell them?
I think it's time that the people in the third ward, we all have a voice, and it's time for them to be heard. I think it's time for them to get involved in politics. I think it's time for them to let their councilman know or their council person know what's going on. I think it's time for the people to really get involved. And if elected to city council, I'm going to be listening to what you have to say. I'm going to be hearing what you're saying, and we're going to be representing you on city council as much as I possibly can. And even if they don't listen to what I have to say, at least it's going to be said, and we're going to be over and over talking about it over and over and over until it gets heard.
And with the possibility, with social media, you're already out there on. So I mean, I don't know if I maybe, and excuse me if I'm speaking out of turn, but I don't know if the current third ward council person is approachable through social networking, social media, and I think that's probably a detriment to him because I think a lot of people use it. I think I think he could actually, if he was on there, he could probably. I don't know. I don't know. Matter of fact, that's kind of sad to say that I don't know. I know so little about him, and he's been in how long has he been in office?
He was appointed in 2015 in a special election.
Okay, that's right. I remember that now. You see, you got a good grasp of what's going on, so that's cool.
Yeah,
I forgot. I just forgot that until you brought that up because I remember. Yeah. But anyway, I'd like to encourage people to, we're going to try to get other city council candidates, is probably the other candidates of the third ward. If they hear this and they want to come in, well, please give us a call at our studio number, and we'll definitely have to work in a time to come for you to come in and give your qualifications and to be able to speak and address your possible constituents. But anyway, thank you very much, Santino. I'm glad you came in, and it was very pleasant to talk to you and get to know, get acquainted with you here.
Well, thank you for having me.
Okay, and like I said, anybody out there who is running for city council, who is seeing this and who wants to, come in, please contact us and we'll work that time out. Thank you very much.